and welcome. Tonight, the President woos foreign investors at the G20 Compact with Africa Economic Conference in Berlin, Germany, says Nigeria's primary asset is her well-endowed youth population. Former Majority Leader and now leader of a group of lawmakers in the River State House of Assembly, Edison Ehie, alleges attack by gunmen on his home. Police Commissioner debunks assassination claim. And Court of Appeal in Abuja dismisses an appeal by the PDP candidate in Benue State governorship election, Titus Oba, challenging the election of Governor Hyacinth Alia. Business news tonight. The central bank's MPC fails to hold its much-anticipated bi-monthly monetary policy meeting for the second time since July, yet to confirm new dates after earlier deferment.
On sports news tonight, a set of 6 jerseys that Lionel Messi won during the Argentina's victorious 2022 World Cup will be auctioned in December with an estimated value of over $10 million.
And from Abuja, Supreme Court fixes March the 13th, 2024 to hear suit filed by the Lagos State government on who has powers to regulate the gaming and lottery sector in the country.
And in international news from London, Argentines have elected far-right outsider Javier Milei as their new president.
We begin outside the country in Germany, where the president has told international investors that beyond the nation's natural resources, the people of Nigeria are the primary asset and advantage the country wields over other nations in the global race for new investments. President Bola Tinubu stated this during a panel discussion at the G20 Compact with Africa Economic Conference hosted by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Berlin. In a statement, the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Ajuri Ngalale, explains that President Tinubu noted that beyond Nigeria's vast gas deposits and business-friendly environment, his administration is reforming the nation's financial institutions to accommodate foreign investments. Meanwhile, the president has met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, where he noted that Nigeria is focused on critical growth-enabling industries in energy, transportation, and electric power production, among others.
We've embarked on transformative changes. All obstacles hindering our businesses is being removed. We are reforming the economy based on the principle and philosophy of good governance. For us in Nigeria, we have the largest population in Africa and the biggest economy and biggest opportunity for all of you. We are reforming the economy to accommodate foreign investment. We are ready to partner with you. We have the youngest, vibrant youth population, if you add that, in Africa all through. And I believe Nigeria is a leading population in that area. Equally, we have what modern economy needs: well-educated population. Equally, we have the opportunity to digitalize, and we are on the rapid move on that, the digitalization of our economy and environment. So telecommunication is one of the best areas to invest.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. In other stories, former Majority Leader and now leader of a group of lawmakers in the River State House of Assembly, Mr. Edison Ehie, has alleged an attack by gunmen on his home. Mr. Edison was recently removed from his position as leader of the Assembly. He would later emerge Speaker of one of the two groups laying claim to the leadership of the House. At a press conference in Port Harcourt, Mr. Ehie said he is not afraid and nothing will stop him from supporting the state governor. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State, Olatunji Disu, says preliminary investigation did not reveal an assassination attempt on Mr. Ehie. The CP spoke to journalists after a courtesy visit on Governor Siminalayi Fubara.
Rivers State has a new Commissioner of Police. While that is not so much of a new story, he is however resuming his activity in the state by first showing himself to the Chief Security Officer, Governor Siminalayi Fubara. CP Tunji Disu is in a familiar territory. In the course of his professional career, he served in various capacities here in Rivers State until this recent appointment, and that comes clear in his speech.
I am fully aware of the complexity and gravity of the situation at hand. Having served in the state as the DPO Elimbu, DPO Lenwo, Commander SARS, Commander Anti-Kidnapping, and Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of the State Criminal Investigation Department, we will adopt a proactive approach to policing, one that emphasizes intelligence and foresight, enabling us to identify potential threats before they materialize.
His host, the governor, has just one request, promising to assist in every way necessary to help the new commissioner achieve his responsibilities.
I want you to be professional. That is the only request I want to make. As a government, we will give you all the necessary support to do your job professionally.
CP Disu's appointment comes on the heels of recent political misgivings, and that does not seem to be going away as quickly as possible. As back in town, Honorable Edson Ehie, leader of a group in the State Assembly, is alleging assassination attempts to his life.
I am not afraid of death. If it is sacrificing my life that will give victory to Rivers State, then I am ready to do that. The only regret I will have is that my young wife and two little children, but life must go on, and I am sure God will see them through. I stand with the governor of Rivers State, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, voted in by Rivers people and representing the welfare of Rivers people. Nothing, no threat, no intimidation, no allegation now or in the future will stop or deter my position.
Responding to those allegations, the new Commissioner of Police would rather see things differently.
All I knew was that police officers were on patrol, convoy patrol is a routine thing. And we have made frantic effort to get across to the leader to give us any information he has so that we can include it in what we already have. So far, so good, nothing to worry about. My plea to him and every other person is, if there's any complaint, my number is going to be made public. They should call me quickly and I will quickly look into it.
Clearly, there is so much to deal with in his new role, and that will include how he discharges his responsibilities with the government and the residents of the state. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
We head to the judiciary, where the Court of Appeal in Abuja has dismissed an appeal brought before it by the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Titus Ubah, in Benue State, challenging the election of Governor Hyacinth Alia. First, Justice Onyekachi Otisi, who delivered the lead judgment, dismissed the allegations of non-qualification made by Ubah against the Deputy Governor, Samuel Ode. He held that the PDP candidate failed to establish allegation of forgery of INEC Form EC9 by Ode beyond a reasonable doubt. The appellate court also held that the issues of non-qualification are pre-election matters that can only be challenged at the Federal High Court and not at the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, as done by Ubah. On the claim of the name of the governor not being submitted by the APC to INEC within 180 days before the election of March 18, 2023, the court held that the allegations could not survive because the primary election that produced Mr. Alia was ordered by a high court and was done within the period ordered by the court. to all the stories. The Africa Progress Group, an initiative of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, is advocating a rethink of the current liberal democracy being practiced in Africa, saying that the concept has failed the continent. Chief Obasanjo, who was addressing participants at a forum put together by the group at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library in Abeokuta, maintains that the system has not worked and has not met the needs and aspirations of Africans. Other participants also suggested a wide range of alternatives, including consensus building, humanitarian and deliberate systemic reforms in critical aspects of governance on the continent.
We have a system of government in which we have no hands to define and design, and we continue with it even when we know that it is not working for us. Those who brought it to us are now questioning the rightness of their invention, its deliverability and its relevance today without reform. The essence of any system of government is the welfare and the well-being of the people, all the people. Here, we must interrogate performance of democracy in the West where it originated from, and with all the inhibition of what we are left with over by the colonial power.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo. The 2023 off-season elections in Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa states have come and gone, but issues arising from the conduct of the polls continue to be a subject of debate on the nature of democracy being practiced in Nigeria. Besides the usual hitches associated with elections, such as late arrival of electoral officials, voting materials at polling units, malfunctioning of BVAS, there were also problems of vote buying and violence, among others. Well, joining us to examine some of the issues arising from the just concluded elections is our political affairs analyst, Laolu Akonde. Thanks for joining me. Good to see you. To begin with, given where we are coming from, and in terms of, the elections recently conducted against the backdrop of the general elections, what impression did you come away with?
Well, I guess quite a few things, but I guess the first one would be, in my view, the level of voter apathy in the country now. Not much has been said about this, and of course, it's even worse for this kind of off-season election. I mean, compared to a place like Kenya, where you have about 50 to 60% turnout, what we've had, even in the presidential National Assembly election, is about 20%. Now, this is even below that. So for me, that is one of the major things that we need to be looking out for. Now, having said that, there's also the problem of the violence, the intimidation, and all related stuff. A situation, for instance, in Kogi State, where election results were written ahead of even the time of voting. Now, what all of those points to is that there is an increasing level of impunity when we talk about electoral offenses. I remember that in 2008, when the Iwe's report was released, the report said then that at that time, that since 1960, there hasn't been any conviction for electoral offenses. Now, indeed. I don't know whether between 2008 and now we've had any significant change of that. But that itself, it's a big problem. And so, because of the impunity, that we see in the electoral terrain,
and
you know, all kinds of
I just want to come in here,
Laulu,
and this is just before we let you go, because we have to go on break. You know, we also saw election results that were failed, and that's in the case of Kogi. Many people wonder how that happened. But, you know, looking ahead, what sorts of reforms do you expect?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we have to do is to take a good look at the UA's report. I mean, looking at the report again is going to be very helpful because many of the things that we are still dealing with have been highlighted in the report. For instance, the report says very clearly that there must be an end to all issues that are litigated from the elections before elected officials are sworn in. Now, for some reason, that recommendation was not accepted. Now, if that were to be accepted, that will make sure that the role of the judiciary, in part, will be limited. Now, what we have today is the judiciary playing too much of a role in the process, something that the UA's panel report had also warned that it won't be good for the system, it won't confer credibility on the process if you have the judiciary determining the outcome of elections.
All right.
Today, I was reading an article written by Lasisi Olagoju where he said that, you know, the Nigerian judiciary has in fact become our electoral college because you see the overly participation or involvement of the judiciary in the election process.
This is definitely something
dealt with.
We will be talking about in the coming days. Thank you, our political affairs analyst, Laulu Akonde. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
In part two, after the break, the Ig Imokwede Foundation and the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria, as well as the Edo State government, signed agreements to adopt 18 primary healthcare centers across the state. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. The President woos foreign investors at the G20 Compact with Africa Economic Conference in Berlin, Germany. Says Nigeria's primary asset is her well-endowed youth population. Former majority leader and now leader of a group of lawmakers in the River State House of Assembly, Edison Ehie, alleges attack by gunmen on his home. Police commissioner debunks assassination claim. Court of Appeal in Abuja dismisses an appeal by the PDP candidates in Benue State governorship election, Titus Uba challenging the election of Governor Hyacinth Alia. And Argentines have elected far-right outsider Javier Milei as their president. And healthcare at the grassroots level in Edo State is set to experience improvement just as access to standard primary healthcare facilities is to increase in the state. Well, this follows the adoption of 18 primary healthcare centers across the 18 local government areas of the state by the Ig Imokwede Foundation and the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria through a tripartite agreement signed by the three parties in Benin City, the state capital, today.
The representatives of the three groups, the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria, the Ig Imokwede Foundation, and the Edo State government, are assembled here in this hall in Benin City, the Edo State capital, for a ceremony to solidify a plan that would see access to health care at the grassroots level increase. The intervention, the Adopt a Healthcare Facility Program, is described as a strategic initiative aimed at revitalizing and establishing standard primary healthcare centers in local governments across Nigeria.
We are adopting a total of 23 primary healthcare centers in Nigeria, 18 of which are in Edo State. And as the Honorable Secretary pointed out, the very first one is going to be in Sabongida Ora, which is our home.
The Edo State government welcomes the program.
You drive around the country, you see a lot of abandoned primary health centers. So to find an institution, a foundation that is prepared to assist government to put some of these health centers into use, I think it's something that all of us were excited about.
The parties thereafter proceed to sign the Memorandum of Agreement. With the document executed, the way is paved for work to formally commence.
The remodeling and refurbishing of the PHCs selected, the 18 PHCs, should run over the course of about 6 months. We're expecting delivery of those ones in the first 6 months, and then after that, we'll have recruitment, purchase of medical equipment that will be installed, and then to ensure the sustainability, we have to do a continued monitoring and evaluation of the services.
The arrangements said to be in place also aim to ensure that brain drain recorded in the country's health sector, as well as other fields, does not pose a challenge to the program.
So we're not just building up the healthcare centers and revitalizing it. We're also providing resources to make them function. And we are going to provide capacity building training opportunities for the health workers themselves, so they feel seen and they feel heard and they feel empowered to actually deliver the medical services to the people who so desperately need them.
The team subsequently takes a tour of the newly renovated and expanded Level 3 Primary Healthcare Center, which the state government upgraded to bridge the gap between basic and emergency healthcare services. Jessica Olubusere, Channels Television News.
We have more stories from our Abuja studios. Mark Yusuf is raring to go. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Millicent. It's good to see you. We're off to the courts again, where this time the Supreme Court has fixed March the 13th, 2024, to hear a suit filed in 2008 by the Attorney General of Lagos State against the federal government in respect of who controls and regulates the gaming and lottery sector. Ekiti State was joined as co-plaintiff in the suit following an order of the court made on October the 6th, 2020. The Attorneys General of 34 other states were joined as defendants by the Supreme Court on November the 15th, 2022. The plaintiffs want the Apex Court to declare that lottery is not one of the 68 items which the National Assembly has exclusive powers to make laws under Part 1 of the second schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended. They are also seeking a declaration that the National Assembly lacks the powers to legally and constitutionally make any law to regulate and control the operation of lottery in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on Finance has resolved to place the National Lottery Trust Fund on status inquiry and plans to invite an external auditor to audit the accounts of the agency from the first day of its establishment. The resolution was reached during the hearing on the MTEF and FSP, where lawmakers queried the spending of the agency running into deficits. Meanwhile, they are asking the federal government to secure schools as the world marks Universal Children's Day. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Ikumi reports.
And fiscal responsibility too.
It is the continued hearing on the 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper by the House of Representatives Committee on Finance. The National Lottery Trust Fund appears before the committee, which straightaway is puzzled by the revenue to expenditure ratio of the agency.
You earn 6.3 billion in 2022. And at the end of the year, you run a deficit of 252 million.
252 million carried forward.
Deficit.
A deficit.
How?
Yes, I did say that we had a carried forward of liabilities.
You generated 2.5 billion and you spent the 2.5 billion to the cover.
We are guided by the Act establishing the agency. If you look at Section 40 of the Act, establishing the agency, we are required to take a custody of a certain percentage.
Which Act are you talking about? The Constitution is supreme, isn't it, than any act of the National Assembly. When you are fully funded, you are expected to remit your IGR 100%.
Dissatisfied with the submissions made by the CEO, the committee reaches a resolution.
We are going to carry out a status inquiry on Lottery Trust Fund. Status inquiry means that we're going to bring in an external auditor from day one to date. We will send a report on the plenary, and if you are found guilty, you may to refund, or and then any other punishment thereof.
Meanwhile, as the world marks the 2023 Universal Children's Day, the House Committee on Disability speaks on the Disability Act 2018 as it focuses on children with disabilities.
Even though there's a Disability Act, which I think we are going to talk more on today as part of the solution, you discover that when you look into the Act, there are no child-specific laws there to address specifically the issue of children.
Still in commemoration of the Universal Children's Day, the chairman of the House Committee on Public Accounts is raising concerns over the growing insecurity in the country and the need to protect schools.
Government should be more proactive in tackling issues of out-of-school children, issues of insecurity in schools, issues of the girl-child education, and ensure that we do not just mouth these things, we don't just make them slogans, but we make them actionable plans and we follow through with the action.
Honorable Salam wants the government to also improve its investment in education for the sake of the country's future. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Still to come on the news at 10, Central Bank's MPC fails to hold its much-anticipated bi-monthly policy meeting for the second time since July. That's some business news. Join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. The Pan-African Episcopal Committee for Social Communication has celebrated its 50th anniversary in Lagos. President of CEPACS and Bishop of Oyo Diocese, Most Reverend Emmanuel Badejo, says the committee has been reasonably effective in delivering its mandate, including addressing the challenges around the church communication and the Catholic press.
It's the 50th anniversary of CEPACS, and the occasion is bringing together bishops, directors and coordinators of communication, as well as communication committees from different parts of Africa.
Just as he starts, I want to...
President of CEPACS, Bishop Emmanuel Badejo, recounts the journey of the organization since its establishment in 1973, while communication coordinator for Association of Member Episcopal Conferences in Eastern Africa, Reverend Father Andrew Kaufa, sets the stage for deliberations.
When CEPACS was established, it did help to establish radio stations across Africa, also to raise the awareness of the bishops to the importance of communication offices where they exist.
The question, however, still remains whether the church in Africa is on the same page on matters to do with information and communication technologies in this digital era.
And health break.
The Most Reverend Charles Palmer Buckle is the keynote speaker. He highlights the role of the synodal church.
The digital world now is a reality. The church cannot but swim in it. The church cannot but swim in it. It is more than a tool. It is a culture. It is a culture from which you and I cannot escape.
Well, as you know, the founder of APO, a leading Pan-African communications consultancy, Nicholas Pongping Mongnag, highlights the partnership with CEPACS, while Bishop Badejo speaks of the vision for the future.
What really is the main message of Jesus Christ? Love one another as I have loved you. And therefore, the church tries to engage with the modern means of communication, with the digital world, with the young people who inhabit it, to promote that message of love for a better, more advanced, more united humanity.
The idea is to make sure all the communication managers of the Catholic Church in Africa are having the right skills to produce better quality content. So the outcome is more content, better quality, to increase the visibility of the Catholic Church.
The Pan-African Episcopal Committee for Social Communication, CEPACS' 50th anniversary, is providing a platform for designing a new infrastructure for a truly synodal church.
And that's all from our Abuja studios. It's back now to you, Millicent.
Thanks, Mark. And now to some company news. The management of Unity Bank, sponsor of the NYSC co-preneurship program, has promised to make the initiative nationwide through a gradual and phased incremental expansion process. In partnership with the NYSC Skill Acquisition Program, the bank plans to sustain the program into the foreseeable future to empower more fresh graduates to become employers of labor after producing 58 winners so far. At the 12th edition of the program, which held in the Akwa Ibom State Orientation Camp, the bank presented monetary and other prizes to winners.
By encouraging us.
In 2019, Unity Bank unveiled what it called the Co-preneurship Program, a scheme which aims at providing entrepreneurial development training to service corps members in different orientation camps in the country. With the initiative, the bank trains corps members in different skills like fashion, software solution, fish production, makeup, shoemaking, farming, catering, and more.
If you want to be ahead, use your head.
After the training, participants pitch their business ideas, which are tested on originality, marketability, future employability, sustainability, and knowledge of the business. The Akwa Ibom State Orientation Camp is the beneficiary of the 2023 edition of the program.
This is our own contribution at Unity Bank to entrepreneurial development among youth. There has been a whole lot of exodus of this youth, and over the past 3 years, we just thought, okay, let's start a process by which we can empower them so that they can in turn contribute their own, part to economic prosperity. And that's why we have the co-preneurship, challenge.
The management of the National Youth Service Corps commends this effort and asks for more.
Unity Bank has been a very, very dependable, reliable partner of the NYSC. This is not the first time they have come here to empower these young ones. And I just want to plead with Unity Bank, and indeed other banks and other financial houses, to come to empower these young ones.
3 overall winners emerged, with each going home with cash prizes among other support.
I've always wanted to make my mommy proud, and she's the one that coached me in this business, and I don't know, I just feel so overwhelmed, and I thank God for everything. I really thank God for everything.
Unity Bank, which boasts of seeing the benefit of its over 80 million naira investment over the years, plans to take it across the country.
It's time now for business news. Here's Anne Wilder.
Thank you, Millicent. Hello and welcome to Business News. For the second time in 2 months, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has postponed its 2-day rates decision meeting, earlier scheduled to hold today. The CBN spokesman, Issa Abdul Mumini, who confirmed this via text message without any reason, is yet to announce a new date for the much-anticipated policy meeting, and that's after it was initially deferred in September this year. The MPC last held its rates decision meeting back in July under the acting CBN governor, Fola Shonubi, where it raised the then benchmark interest rate from 18.5 to 18.75%. Meanwhile, the CBN governor, Yemi Cardoso, who was appointed in September, is yet to hold the critical monetary rate setting meeting since he assumed office. Vice President Kashim Shettima has reiterated the readiness of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to partner with the private sector in enhancing human capital development in Nigeria. He stated this when he met with development partners and some private sector players at the presidential villa, Abuja. Our State House correspondent Empress Simon reports.
This meeting between the Vice President and private sector players as well as international development partners is predicated on the need to strengthen the synergy with the private sector. The 3 areas of focus for the meeting are health, education, and human capital development. In a statement issued by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications Office of the Vice President, Senator Shettima underscores the importance of private sector involvement in these three areas and the need to create a workforce that is not just globally competitive but also adaptable to the modern demands of the 21st century. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare outlines how the current administration is addressing the issue of human capital through investment in the health of the citizens.
His Excellency the Vice President convened this meeting to discuss how government, within the overall vision of the renewable agenda, can come together with state governments, partnering with the federal government, with private sector leaders, and we're fortunate that we have among the wealthiest, we have the wealthiest Nigerians and Africans that are here. How do we work with them alongside our external development partners to ensure that we invest properly in health, in basic health care, the sector-wide program to improve population health outcomes, improve nutrition of our young children, empower our women, our girls, but also on the education side.
Some of the players in the private sector assure the federal government of their support in these pursuits.
Our own, as philanthropists, is for us to partner with the government and make sure that, yes, they do what is right, and also to put our money on the table, and we are ready to do so.
We need to think about our future as a country. We need to prioritize our young ones. We need to develop them, we need to give them economic hope and opportunities so that we can collectively develop and then say no to extremism and yes to prosperity.
Meanwhile, the Vice President has approved the constitution of a multi-sectoral committee made up of the federal and state governments as well as donors and partners to drive the goals of Human Capital Development Program of the federal government. From the Presidential Villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
And from there, we head to the domestic stock market. It started the week with a negative close, losing more than 57 billion naira to profit-taking by investors. Will Ibong has the details.
Welcome to the stock market report. The NGX has snapped its winning streak, halting 2 weeks of gains. The all-share index dipped today, the first trading day of the week, by 0.15%. And well, we could say that this was in reaction to the central bank postponing the Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the second time. The market is eager to get direction from the central bank. Now let's check out some of the stocks investors traded or faded today. Access Holdings featured on the top trade list, and that's because investors sold off or took profit. And we see that dip in Access Holdings weighing down on the banking counters, 0.36% down today. Zenith Bank and UBA stocks also ended in the red today. Consumer goods traded down today, no thanks to Nigerian breweries, to the company losing 1 naira of its share price. Last week, the company sought the approval of shareholders to acquire about 80% of distilled wines and spirits. Not so positive reaction yet from investors. Well, while we wait for the central bank to confirm new dates for the MPC meeting, let's hope investors and traders bring on more buy energy to tomorrow's session. Will Ibang signing out.
That's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Millicent.
Thanks, Anne. In Argentina, where right-wing libertarian Javier Milei has been elected president. Milei, who rode a wave of voter anger with the political mainstream, won by a wider-than-expected margin. He landed some 56% of the votes versus just over 44% of his rival, Peronist economy minister Sergio Massa, who conceded. Milei is pledging economic shock therapy. Well, here's Simon Pusey with other international stories and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Argentines have elected the far-right outsider Javier Milei as their new president. With almost all votes counted, Mr. Milei had won close to 56% in the decisive runoff, ahead of his left-wing rival Sergio Massa with 44%.
Empezamos a dar vuelta a la página de nuestra historia.
The radical newcomer's victory has been described as a political earthquake. Sometimes dubbed El Loco by his critics, Mr. Milei has promised drastic changes, which include ditching the local currency, the peso for the US dollar, and blowing up the central bank in order to prevent it from printing more money, which he argues is driving inflation. A group of 28 premature babies evacuated from a besieged hospital in Gaza on Sunday have crossed into Egypt. More than 24 babies who had been at Al-Shifa Hospital were taken to safety in mobile incubators in ambulances. Meanwhile, relatives of hostages in Gaza have begged Israeli politicians to stop talk of execution for Hamas detainees. The families of hostages have also been speaking of their pain and anguish at a news conference in London. President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africans should not let the Israel-Gaza conflict deepen divisions. It comes after a pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian protest clashed in Cape Town last week. The president addressed this incident in his weekly letter, saying it was troubling and unacceptable. President Ramaphosa and the ANC have expressed solidarity with Palestinians. He said support for the Palestinian struggle cannot be equated with anti-Semitism. The founder of OpenAI, Sam Altman, is joining Microsoft, ending speculation he might return to OpenAI just 48 hours after his chaotic ousting.
Chris and I were talking about, I really do think we underrate how much of, societal antibodies have already been built.
Microsoft Chief Executive Satya Nadella wrote on X, formerly Twitter, that Mr. Altman would be joining Microsoft to lead a new advanced AI research team. Mr. Altman helped launch the firm, best known for creating the popular ChatGPT, and has become one of the most influential figures in the fast-growing generative artificial intelligence space. An expert says the prospect of rescuing 41 workers trapped for 8 days in a collapsed tunnel in the Indian Himalayas were looking positive after surveying the site on Monday.
We're going to get those men out.
Arnold Dix, president of the International Tunneling and Underground Space Association, gave the news as he examined the collapsed site from various locations to gather information on possible rescue plans. Rescuers are exploring 5 new plans to pull out the workers after a machine drilling horizontally into the debris to create space for the men to come out developed a snag and a sudden cracking sound, while efforts to restart it caused panic. The men have been stuck in the highway tunnel in Uttarakhand state since it caved in early on November the 12th.
Seriously, what I've seen, there are great works being done. This is going to happen, and look, we're on it, and that's what we're here, and there's a whole team of us here, and we're going to find the solution, and we're going to get them out. And we need to compare what we've seen here above the tunnel with what we know is happening in the tunnel, and this actually helps us make the proper decision, because we are rescuing those 41 men, and we are not letting anyone get hurt while they're doing it. But to do that, we must be very careful with what we do, and that's why we're all here.
And the Colombian pop star Shakira has reached a deal with Spanish prosecutors to settle a tax fraud case just as her trial was about to begin. The singer has paid a €7.5 million fine. Prosecutors had wanted to jail her for 8 years and fine her €23.8 million if found guilty. She had faced tax fraud allegations for €14.5 million in a Barcelona court. Shakira, who has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, said she settled with the best interests of her kids at heart. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. And back at our sports center, we'll begin from home, where Isaac Umoru has won the 62nd First Bank Lagos Amateur Open Golf Championship after a challenging 3-day golf action at the golf course of the Ikoyi Club 1938 in Lagos. Umoru recorded 226 gross in the gross category to edge out his closest challenger, Emmanuel Samuel, for the title that attracted hundreds of golfers from within and outside the country.
After 3 days of golf action, the 62nd First Bank Lagos Amateur Open Golf Championship comes to a close. The final produces some exciting golf between Emmanuel Samuel and Isaac Umoru in the gross category. Umoru carries the day after posting 74 gross on the final day.
Guys, I love this game.
And after a successful tournament on the golf course, the sponsor, First Bank, is rounding off the 62nd edition with the awards ceremony. For 2023, First Bank has given out the 4.5 million naira proceed from the First Bank Corporate Golf Challenge to Bethesda, Home for the Blind. And then the crowning of the 2023 champion.
The Champions Cup. This will take home with him. It is for the overall winner.
Can I say I'm really grateful and it means a lot to me. I can say this is one of my goals in life. This is the reason I'm still playing an amateur. Because I just want to win this game and my next target is to go for the pro. And hopefully, and thank God, I've become the winner today. I'm really, really grateful for that.
For First Bank, it's another exciting moment to create another success story of golf sponsorship.
To see the competition this well participated, old winners, participants from other golf championship courses across the country, internationals participating here, having this level of intense competition and coming out with spectacular winners, for us, we think this really, really achieves the purpose of this event.
This is actually the very first time Kusharis will be coming on board to partner with First Bank, and part of the whole idea is to also add value with two brands that resonate with a common clientele.
The championship remains the longest running known golf competition and the World Amateur Golf Ranking event.
And our lead story, where 6 shirts won by Lionel Messi during Argentina's triumphant run at the 2022 World Cup are expected to become the most valuable collection of sports memorabilia when bidding opens later this month. Estimated that the value will hit as much as $10 million. The football star donned this shirt during the first half of the group stages round against Saudi Arabia, as well as other matches, including the final against France. That's it on sports. Millicent is back to you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu today wooed foreign investors at the G20 Compact with Africa Economic Conference in Berlin, Germany. He told them that Nigeria's primary asset is a well-endowed and vibrant youth population. And that's news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night and stay safe.